Everybody knows. Okay. I need to share screen. So there. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So this is the streets HERF revenue, like it says, over the past couple of years. And from this year, we had a total, well, you can see the 470,644 was the projected what we had for the whole year for HERF funds. And through December, we were at 244,814.
There's your dog. Where's Scarlett?
Oops, I'm in a meeting.
Where's Scarlett?
I guess it's in the yard.
What's that?
Oh, I was just wondering how much in the 1% sales tax we got this year so far. And I'm just kind of
Yes.
interested in how it, with the pandemic and everything going on, how much we actually
Yes,
lost in sales
I
tax
have that.
revenue because of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yes, and this is the HERF fund. I have that as well.
Oh, I see it right now. I've actually see it. The year to date so far is 470 and we're expecting 808. Okay.
Yeah, what's on the screen is the HERF funds. And so let me get,
That's there we go. And then that's that other one that he was there. That's the one that he was talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a paving.
so this is the streets right here is the 1% sales tax. And this is what was budgeted for this year. This is what has been spent.
Is he moving back home or what?
Right, which is
Graphic
460.
change.
What's that?
All I'm seeing is a graphic of this little cone with the colored bar that says 1%, 10%, 10 to 30, and 70 to 90.
Oh, that screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing that screen. There we go. That's the one. Yeah. I got
All
it.
right. This-
Yeah.
Oh, there
right.
it is.
All right, sorry about that. So, so you can see this is the HERF. Can you see the right here?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what has been spent. The year-to-date actual is 244,814. And then down here, this is what was budgeted for the year, and this is what has been spent thus far.
Okay.
And this is the remaining.
Alrighty.
I
just kind of want to know exactly how much. Oh, okay. There it is. $71,213 is what we got last month in sales tax. Okay. That's actually a little more than normal. Actually, it's going up a little. Cool. That's
Yeah,
the number
usually
I'm looking for.
Usually it's around 60,000, right?
Yeah, usually it was around 60. And that was like 71. So yeah,
Good.
it's been really busy this last month in town. So I'm just kind of
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to see that number that high. I'm glad to see it that high. Actually,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
that's way more than we expected to get because we're basing it on 60. So yeah, we'll have extra money to spend next year. Yeah.
So, and then let me see.
A lot of
So-
that's probably Ace Hardware and B&D Lumber.
It's like, yeah, 10 2x4s cost $460,000 nowadays. Remember?
Well, that's the street repair report.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Well, it's been a long time since we've
Um,
actually had a meeting, so.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing right now. All right.
Thank you.
And then old business, I haven't been able to find the second order in the old business, discussion on hydrology study report for Tombstone Canyon. I know that is what was coming from, Cochise County. I was not able to find that yet. So I will make sure I get that and get that out to you guys. I know that was from old business. I don't know if there was any discussion that wanted to be on that.
Well, actually, the purpose of that study was to determine whether we needed to do anything about water encroachment during storm season in front of the that art gallery in the middle of the
Yes.
road there, and seeing how they built the curb up and put a handrail there. I kind of think that that's probably was the result of that study, saying, yeah, we need it done. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we were hoping for anyway. That was the purpose of the study.
Gotcha. Okay. And then old business item number 3, a discussion and possible recommendation on crosswalk on naco road. This is my first time hearing about this. I don't know if I mean, I'm sure someone knows about this and what was going on with this.
You know where the BTC is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right across the street, there's a parking lot.
Yeah, and it kind of
There's
leaves you.
absolutely no crosswalk out of that parking lot across any street. And
Okay.
that's an issue. There needs to be one somewhere.
And we got a flashing, Jesus had put in or you guys had put in a flashing 25-mile-an-hour sign. And I
Yeah.
think this is kind of part and parcel of that to slow people down. And I'm one of those guys that speeds through there, just full honesty there. But yeah.
Dude, I really have to remember to slow down.
So okay. So
It's a location less than, it was like somebody was gonna try and find out where would be a good location. Because on one side, because across the street, there looks like there's a ramp for like ADA stuff that has to be ADA compliant. But on that side of the street, if you look where the outlet of the driveway is, there's a storm grate there. So, either you're gonna have to put it on the other side and kind of angle it towards that, or put in a new ADA thing. And I kind of think that's kind of where the discussion ended. And I don't know whether anybody's been, set the task to go out there and look at it and see how, it's feasible. But really, it comes down to, we have a parking lot. We have no way we literally have no way out of that parking lot for a pedestrian
yeah.
marked.
David,
That
do
could
you
be a
have any?
liability. I'm not sure, but I'm not an authority, but that might be a liability, so we should really, at least take a look at it.
Mhm.
I think it's even more important than the one up by Ironman.
Oh.
The Copper Man statue. Because there's
Yeah,
no,
the Iron Man.
well, actually they
Well-
did change that intersection and put a crosswalk in. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Hey, David, I know you have your shop right there. Do you have anything you want to add or?
At one point there was a diagonal crosswalk from there that led to kind of right where the fire hydrants are to the storm grate. And it was significantly used. I believe it, helps slow down traffic and, make people aware that, there is crossing there. For the safety of, myself and I know some of my crew, that makes a big difference, so I definitely say for anybody parking there publicly, it'd be wise for the city to protect themselves, making sure that they're having a passageway there.
So did that crosswalk disappear when they repaved?
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So that's
It was
the
kind
issue.
of a weird angle because, there was a time, when, if there's an emergency and the fire trucks pull up to those fire hydrants, then, depending on situation, it totally blocks that, crosswalk as well. And it's always a challenge with people parking there over top of the crosswalk. I don't really see another way for it to be done at this point unless you utilize some of the area from where the parking lot is, just next to the storm grate area. There's the flags and a little bit of like grassy knoll area. If it was kind of moved down there and then straight across to where the ADA sidewalk is, I think that could be a possibility.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about right there. Okay. Anybody else want to have any thoughts or discussion on that?
I think it's real important you get a crosswalk back in that area, though I disagree that it's any more important than up there where it's the 3-4 restaurants converge plus the courthouse, the pedestrian crosswalk. But I will say one thing about crosswalks. people don't use them, but the point is, if the city doesn't have anything and someone gets hurt, then you really have no defense. So you need it there. And my other question, I guess, would be about that area, is that those blinking lights that warn people to slow down to 25, does anybody know, has anybody figured out why sometimes they work and sometimes they don't? I think you have to hit them at a high speed to make them go off, but I'm really not sure. I thought maybe Ben would know. Do they go off every time, Ben, that you drive in there? Because I sometimes drive
They
in there
do.
slow and nothing happens.
They
Huh?
work great.
They work great if you're going
if you're
fast.
going over 35 or 40, they've always,
Yeah.
I just hit, oh,
Yeah,
wait a
but
minute, yeah.
if you go in there at 25 or 15, then they don't go off.
No.
I guess I've really slowed down because I know that David's area is dangerous because there's a parking lot there and there are people who just cross all the time in all of that area. They wander. Now there's a crosswalk, further up in front of from the other big lot in the Bisbee Realty Company. So there is one further up, but I don't see how you can have a public parking lot and not have a legal way to suggest people get out of it,
Yeah.
So I'd get on that this week.
I want to modify my
This week.
previous statement.
It's Thursday.
She's right. It's no more or less important than more of them up by the.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we need to.
There is.
And then-
They actually
and then-
did though paint the one that's across the street from that comes across from the pizza parlor. After
Yeah.
they finished it, they painted that one back in.
Yeah, they
So there's
did.
that one
And-
there, but they need one further up.
They need,
Well,
you
I
know where
think-
they need one? They need one also. People come out of the courthouse. Well, they park their cars in that middle area. You know what? That's gonna all change someday. The county's gonna paint it
Yep.
out. But yeah, the more crosswalks to me is always better than less.
It's like they should just start the crosswalk where they're about 15 or 20 feet past the church. And just
Right.
have that whole area there be a crosswalk from there to the pizza parlor, diagonal stripe lines,
Well-
and say this is a pedestrian cross area.
Well,
Well,
that's,
where I
But
think
you'd
they
have to
should
have
have
buttons
it,
to push. the lights
everybody
to-
walks up to the Ironman statue, I mean, in groups, and they stand there and they stand in the street. And then, of course, they don't walk down to the one crosswalk at the pizza place. They just turn around, and walk back across the street. They walk over to the Ironman, they walk back. I see them all day long because my business is in front of that area. And if you could
Legally
put one,
speaking, and legality wise, at any intersection, unless it's marked otherwise, is a legal crosswalk.
yeah, well, maybe they
Right.
could just,
It's better to paint them, but it's even if they're not painted, if you don't have a sign that said not a crosswalk, it actually is.
that whole area is gonna be just in a
Qualified.
discussion. That whole area by the Ironman is gonna be in a discussion later, so we'll.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get-
Oh, okay.
Done with old business, on to new business. Update on paving plan with budget and time allocations. The budget plan is, I can add that, I can share my screen again. Let me drop this. Yes, all right. 1 second. Everybody see that?
There it is.
All right.
That's the one.
So, before we get into this, or before you figure out, trying to ask what the colors are, those that are highlighted have already been paved. iWorks, we gotta finish updating iWorks with this past year's paving. We haven't gotten to that. So you can kind of see this is what iWorks has told us is left to be paved. And then, so we have the spring and this next year that we're planning on doing as much of this as possible. Because March of next year is when our 1% possibly ends. Anybody have any they want to discuss or talk about? I know, Ben, this was your items.
Yeah,
Cochise Road.
so generally, which neighborhoods are next? We're kind of finishing up Old Bisbee now, right?
Let me see where we have. Yeah, we have some right in this area. High Road, Tempe Avenue, which Tempe Avenue will be done in the spring by, we have that contractor. That's, once we're done with that wall, we'll be doing Tempe Avenue. So that'll be done. Clausen Avenue, Garden Avenue. Is it Angius?
Angus.
Angus, okay. Quality Hill Road, Review Alley, and from Brewery to Ore Alley, that is, we'll have to look at that. I think I know what they're talking about.
I saw
Yeah,
some
that's up
paving in
behind City
Clausen
Park
today.
by the Central School Project. That's that little road that goes there.
No, that's Review Alley is down by the entrance, by the brewery, on Brewery Avenue.
Oh, yeah, the slide. That's right.
Yeah.
Slide.
So, yeah, I guess that's what that is from. Well, that's not even saying from, that's on Brewery, on Review Alley. Review Alley is the actual entrance to Brewery Gulch.
Yeah, that's pretty
Oh,
rutted.
okay.
It's been rutted out for a while from the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
underneath all that is concrete, is what I've understood. And then for some reason they decided some years back, a long time ago, to pave it. Probably because it was getting bad and it was gonna cost too much to repair.
Yeah.
So,
I think because it's an actual drainage runs all the water. That's the water channel. That's why it was cement instead of asphalt.
probably, I mean, well, the whole Olive Brewery Gulch, Brewery Avenue going up is concrete.
Yeah, it's because it's a drain for
It's pretty much a wash.
It has to be concrete. Yeah. Most drain channels have to be concrete.
Yeah, so that's pretty
That's
much
weird.
most of what, I know one thing that's on this list that, needs overlay versus just like a slurry seal would be, Roberts. Up by, what is that road up there? Where we did Oak and O'Hara, we already did Oak and O'Hara. And then Roberts is next up there.
Oh, okay.
That is not on this list. I think we're gonna be doing a overhaul on iWorks, because with Seago, which is another government entity, is going to be doing actual pavement preservation testing around Bisbee and other cities, with an actual company that does it for like, that's what their business is. So I think we'll get a lot better look at what our roads are looking like.
You know, I saw them working at the end of Cochise Road the other day. That's like one of the other major issue roads that everybody asks about.
Yeah, that should be on here.
I know we were waiting for the water company to get lines. There was a lot of infrastructure that was really close to the surface there. That's why, and drainage issues. So that was actually complicated.
Yeah.
It's like some railroad tracks to where it runs into Central or whatever that road is there.
Yeah. All right. And then with that, the budget, which we pretty much looked at the budget for this. I can bring it back up.
So
Here.
is Seago, before we jump to that, is Seago gonna look at all of Bisbee streets?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna be doing, I think it's, I've kind of gotten in the middle, like started in the middle of their project that they started with this, is they are like, a company probably has like the vehicle that drives it and scans it. That's what I understand. So,
Well, that's good, because they'll probably discover subway streets got some potholes that need some help. But
Yeah,
If they're gonna be doing that, then that's fine. We don't need to make recommendations.
okay. Yeah, that's one thing. I'm really looking forward to that. I think we'll get a better representation of our roads, better than we had. Jesus had different employees from other departments doing that, and I think we're going to get a better look at that.
Well, if Seago does stuff, Seago also knows how to write grants to get money to fix things. So
Yeah.
that might actually be a good thing.
Yeah,
It's all about getting
Um,
it's once we figure out what needs to be fixed, it's all about getting the money.
yeah,
Yeah. Any kind of grants or anything, Seago's are good people to know what. So yeah,
Fixed or
doing the
upgraded.
test just because they know if they can prove stuff, they can get money. That's usually how that works.
yeah. And then at our next meeting, hopefully we can have we'll be able to see when they're Seago's going to start that, because they're doing the RFP right now for that, putting that out. So anything else on paving plan? Like I said, we're gonna get a better report on roads that we're gonna be doing that need it out of this list, which ones need it the most. And we'll go from there. Cochise Row is one we definitely want to get done with. We're gonna try and get some engineering for the drainage, like Stephen was talking about. We want to make sure we're doing it right and not flooding someone's house or anything like that. So,
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it is just walking the street first and just being observant where water already flows, and kind of just being observant. I don't know really if it takes engineering all the time, but just being careful. And I think what got us into trouble before was just not being careful about pointing out where the milling should happen on Tombstone Canyon. I think if it was more carefully laid out before they paved, it wouldn't have ever been an issue. So that's just my opinion.
yeah, I think one of the reasons is we were, even Jesus and I were talking about before of doing it, getting some type of engineering on it study, is because we already have a problem on that road and it needs to be fixed. And we don't, with fixing it, with just doing an overlay, if we don't currently have a problem on a road, it's not that big of a deal. If we already have a problem, we don't want to further that problem. And then we'll be talking with Arizona Water too, with paving that and hopefully getting lines so they're not a couple inches down.
I think it was on the last time when he was at the last meeting in March, and it was like, that was on their list of things to do during this year, was to get that water done, I think. Oh, there he is. Hey Frank, how are you?
Yeah,
So-
we should get our budget books next week. So I'm hoping that that is one of the projects. And if not, we're probably going to start doing some things on our own because it just can't wait anymore. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, I don't know, one of my first years when I was in the streets department, doing potholes and nicking it with a backhoe, and it was like that far under the.
Oh yeah, 6 inches. Yep.
Yeah,
You're right.
or less. Yeah. So, all right. If anything else before we move on, okay. Update on Ironman statue area crosswalk parking and EV parking design area. Myself and the city manager has met. We met with the Cochise County. They have drawn up a design to redo that area. I'm trying to think if I don't know if they're coming back with the final design, and it's what the plan is pretty much a big X for the roadway around the Ironman. So making a big X with the courthouse above and the Ironman below, and having how what used to be, I was told that's how it used to be years ago. You had each an entrance coming up and coming down. So road would come up this way, or you could cross this way. It's hard to explain on here. But that is coming up soon. It's going to be going to council, either this next council meeting or the one after that for approval by council. So that's looking like we're going to get that area kind of straightened up.
Yeah.
Let me see if I might actually be able to show you that what was the tentative drawing. And then while I'm doing that, the electric chargers, right now this is pretty much the only update I have is it's in the APS's field right now. We're waiting on them. We've done our part. We're waiting on them now they have to be able to get the schedule of when they can do that. I think right now they are waiting for pretty much supply chain on the chargers right now. So
side question on those chargers.
yeah,
Do you or maybe Cynthia knows or somebody knows if there's like a map that people that have EVs can use to find charging stations, or if they just use Google Maps, just so that we make sure people find these things. Because sometimes, it's a one-way trip for people, they get to Bisbee and their battery's empty and they're not familiar with Bisbee. They're coming from Tucson and they get that range anxiety. I don't have an EV, but I can imagine trying to find a gas station, right? If there's if it's city property, if somebody at the city just enters a place EV charging, or if there's like an overall map that could be it could be entered into, just to make sure that it gets used.
It's my understanding, though I can't remember all the details, that there are, I'm traveling right now, just went to California, and there are maps, there's apps. Everybody has an app, and APS, which of course, besides the city of Bisbee, will be like in fact, it'll be almost like an indirect PR promo. People will know they can come to Bisbee and find EV parking, and there'll be a map to it. And those people who have EV cars have EV maps. So the rest of us may not know where they are, though they're getting to be prolifically everywhere. And I think that'll happen in Arizona. It's certainly true in California. You can't go anywhere without there being EV parking. Yeah, there's maps, there's apps. Everybody goes to an app and there you go. They find where to park their car if they're electric.
yeah.
To answer your question, it's out
Cool,
there.
thanks. Okay.
Yeah. And luckily we don't have to design it. It already exists and they just plug our spot into it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, hopefully we don't have to do any.
So
additional work.
hopefully the city will be smart enough, and I know Bisbee Vogue Inc. fully intends to use it in our lodging and for the restaurants around there, to say, it's like the good old days when running was what people with discretionary money were doing. Well, now the people who have EVs, more or less, they're kind of more the cutting edge people. They're looking for new and exciting places to go, like Bisbee, because they have electronic car parking. I think it'll be really good for the community.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To jump back, and we can, swing back into the EV parking design if we want. I did find that preliminary by the Ironman, and I'll share that right
cool.
now.
Awesome, thanks. And also, Cynthia, I think, I've been having, I've been having my eye on an electric car if I can afford one. And a lot of people, especially in Old Bisbee, can't park in front of their house because the roads are too narrow. And if the price comes down or APS is amenable, maybe it's something that can happen in some of the other parking spots on Brewery Ave or elsewhere. But that's for another time.
Yeah, that's another discussion, but
Yeah.
a lot of people who do have EVs have their own EV charging, like Bonnie Finkley, our accountant, has her own EV charger at her house. So she can go from her house to wherever else she wants to go and then get back home. They you learn to calculate this depending on the range of your EV car.
So
That's a
this
nice
is what-
design. That's a nice design. Now where's everybody gonna park?
Well,
You
the whole point, we wanted to redesign this 2 points, pedestrian safety, but also parking.
We got the pedestrian safety down.
Yeah, so, right here, they're planning on this, like, 2 bars here is gonna be a crosswalk that will go in front of the Ironman. So Cynthia, with people taking the pictures with the Ironman, they will be safe. And
Where's the yes, I'll see. They're gonna do
Right
a
here.
crosswalk in front of the road there. Is that what you're saying? It's not marked as a crosswalk? Are they gonna have a crosswalk from one side to the other? Those 2 white lines are those,
yeah,
they're
so,
not crosshatched, but I guess that is a crosswalk, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
because we don't do, with our crosswalks, we don't do hatches anymore.
And why is that?
One main thing is it's a waste of paint.
Really?
Could be a lot, and maintenance is a big thing.
Okay.
And this is what a lot of different cities do as well. But we're taking it from this sidewalk here, getting people across to this other sidewalk that continues. And we
Right.
have this sidewalk here is back, except it doesn't have all the hash marks.
Yeah, that crosswalk's back now. Yep.
Yep. And then we still have parking here and then along the roadway on the roads here. And then I think I'm trying to remember.
Do we know who made this county map?
I believe this was Jackie Watkins, or at least it was in her department.
Okay. Because I am curious why they took out all the parking right along the side of the courthouse. Yeah,
Oh, here?
not the side of the courthouse, that where the big wall is, from the courthouse stairs down to the apex. I can understand the apex because that's out in the middle of the street, but they lost about 5 or 6 spots right along there by between the fountain and the stairs. There have always been 5 or 6 spots there, and you can still do the roadway, but you could do parking there. I just was curious why they took those out.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I'll call and ask if I remember.
Yeah, please.
Because in
Yeah.
Bisbee, every spot counts, right?
Yes.
Forever.
Yes,
Which,
Then Bisbee-
excuse me for bringing this up, but if I don't say it right now, I won't remember. Do you know where the crosswalk is at the big curve right at Castle Rock Inn? The big curve, blinking lights again, and there's a crosswalk right there with blinking lights
Yeah, by the old chocolate factory.
by the old chocolate factory.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If you're at the stop sign, it's not a stop sign. If you're at that corner, the first 15 or 20 feet of it are white so that you can park a vehicle there and block the view of the person stepping out on the street. Then the really odd part is that the next 50 feet are all painted red, all in front of the chocolate factory, in front of the house. So you have it backwards. You need to take and make it red within 10 feet of that crosswalk, and you need to make it white for the other 30 to 50 feet that you currently have red. So that's something that I've really been meaning to talk about for like 3 months ever. And so there are big cars will park right in that little white spot all the time. And then all behind them on weekends, there'll be nobody parked because it's painted red. Now, sometimes people do park there because they go, wow, that guy's there. I guess I'll park here. It doesn't mean anything. But it's really one of those leftover things from somewhere that would take like 5 minutes to fix. And it would be nice because you're blocking out 10 spots and you're creating a little bit of a hazard the way it's painted right now.
That is all supposed to be parking. You're talking about the red curb.
Yeah, the old red curve, as long as
Yeah.
it's red, nobody's gonna park there, and they don't. But they park right 3 feet from the crosswalk because that's not red.
Yeah.
You have a
and-
look
and
at it,
that's
you'll
why,
see.
that's why there's a button so people will, and there's lights on the thing so people
Yeah.
will
Well,
stop.
I think it should all be parking. I mean, really, a couple of, it's a pretty visible, it's just that you have this whole entire red section where nobody can park.
Yeah.
And nobody,
and that's
mostly
something-
nobody does.
Yeah, and that's easy enough to,
That's an easy
Get rid of.
fix. Tell them to
Um,
be sure and sweep it before they paint it, okay? It's kind of got a lot of dirt.
Does-
anyways,
I wonder if all the other committee members here have comments on the parking or on the
I can show
new
that again.
design, X design. If maybe we can make a motion, I'd like to make a motion to maybe advise Jackie Watson to redo this plan for maximum parking. Because that was kind of the whole initiative that brought up. I was actually the one that brought up the redesign of this entire area to accomplish 3 things. 1 was pedestrian safety, 2 was adding parking, and 3 was putting in a bike lane on Tombstone Canyon through that area. And the only thing I see here is, actually, I don't see any of those things because she didn't draw in a crosswalk. So
I would agree there on that motion. I believe that there's
what was that, David?
I believe there's probably other ways that we could utilize this space, especially if, it's right off of the main road. And because this is becoming such a hub area with the courthouse and all the businesses and restaurants up in that area, I believe that could be reworked to potentially open up 30 parking spots available there if we just utilize the side road that, is the access point for that area, other than, trying to create a cross traffic stream through that area.
Well, okay, I have a comment.
Just real quick, if we wanted to make a motion, it needed to be on the actual agenda. It just says update. So, I know what you're saying, and this is some stuff that I can take back.
Okay.
All right. Well, here's what
I just want to say that.
We can put it on a future agenda.
Well, yes and no. I don't know that it's our decision. We can make all the hoopla we want to. I was in the council meeting. I don't know if any of you were when the chief of police presented, as did a number of other people from larger groups than our parking committee. So I don't want us to be uninformed about the general public. David just said he thinks it could be designed, and Ben thinks there could be more parking spots. The whole idea is to not have parking in that area. And that's why you see those big thoroughfares with roads, because the church community was concerned, the courthouse and the police have been concerned for the last few years that if there were fire or other problems, that whole thing that people have started doing the last few years, those cars in the middle that you see there, that's blocked what used to be a thoroughfare that was never marked. So they've made basically a very clear road, because for them, parking's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is being able to get vehicles through that space. If any houses were on fire, if anybody had a heart attack, if anybody fell down. And I agree with that. I agree that being a thoroughfare as versus the current parking lot that it is, with room for about 30 cars. I think that's bad. That the whole congestion that's been created up there because of the restaurants and people just doing their random parking because there's no signage and no direction. I personally, having listened to a lot of people in a lot of meetings, I'm against that idea. And the only thing I will say to give a hint of what's going to alleviate parking up in that area is the Catholic Church intends to create a paid parking lot. And everybody's presumed that was a private parking lot, which it is, it belongs to the church, but the church is going to open it as a paid lot, similar to what's down there that David used to run. We're going to open that as a paid lot, and that will alleviate, quite frankly, any parking problem and allow for people to have a road thoroughfare to deal with the more serious problem of fire and accidents and safety and you name it.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia.
Okay.
You brought up some, what you had said brought up some thoughts that I remember from the meeting, because it's been a minute since that meeting, so some of the stuff I had forgotten. And yes, that is what some of these larger hash areas are, because of people trying to get out of here. It's just creating a lot safer flow of traffic.
And that is the number one concern from the officials, the city manager, the city police, the deacon of the church, you name it.
Even
FYI, just so y'all know.
Even the courthouse and
Even
their
and
security.
including the courthouse, most particularly the courthouse.
Yeah,
I think the opinion of the people who actually have to deal with that every day on a daily basis over the past 50 years, including the church, probably should be listened to.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, obviously, since they're up there, it's the local rule thing in my mind. Yeah, if they know what's going on up there. They kind of know the safety issues.
Right. So in
I
that
mean,
sense,
I actually like the design, and I think I moved here 20 years ago, and I kind of remember it being that way initially.
yeah, that's exactly what it used to be. And then all of a sudden, people about 3 years ago decided they could park in the middle. And the old saying, copycat city is pretty common. So now there's just terrible safety problems up there, just horrible.
So one thing
Hey,
that
there is the issue on the other side of the Tombstone Canyon there with all the parking in front of those restaurants. Because really the back end of your car sits right at the edge of the road. And it's like almost impossible to see to back out of those spaces because it's on a corner. It's really kind of crazy, but that's another issue.
Yeah, that is another issue.
on this intersection too, as we're talking, things are coming up that I'm remembering from this. The security from the courthouse had said that they would stand out there and pay attention, and they've added quite a bit of people over in one of their other buildings, and so they know that I mean they do a lot of, they actually occur quite a bit of the parking for people coming to the courthouse, and this is something that they want as well, because it's just a safer flow. And like Cynthia said, the church opening up the parking, this is something they want as well. So not just what the county wants or anything. This is the church has been involved as well.
Yeah, I think painting it would be a really good idea. And if we lose those spots, like say the church will fill in, and then people will just do what they always do. They'll park somewhere else. They'll just have to walk further. That's always what I say. They'll be parking at Higgins Hill, and then we'll have to worry about how we get in and out that park.
Yeah, that's that too.
Well, actually, the real truth of the matter is, and I guess I should put on the agenda next, and that is that, up Higgins Avenue, not Higgins Hill Park, but there's 100 spot lot that could be developed on city property right up there behind the whole Higgins Hill Park on the Higgins Avenue side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we want a solution for parking, we should just pave over what the city owns that they're not using except to grow weeds.
And rocks.
And rocks and dirt.
Yeah, and that's been brought up in the past, and it's like, well, I mean, it hasn't gone that far, but it's been are people really gonna want to walk that far and whatnot? So, but it could be overflow parking down the road.
Well, and it's not a matter of whether people want to or to walk. That's like saying, people do and can walk. And then if they don't, then some ingenious person will start a golf cart shuttle business.
I've been to Jerome.
Yeah.
You have to walk almost anywhere you park there if you want to see anything. You better.
Yeah. I mean, there's no city in the whole mall mentality of I park in front of the store I want to go into. Well, we saw how well that worked. All the malls are going out of business. Walking is not the problem. It's whether that's a place you want to go. And so if you want to go to Bisbee, Bisbee needs to make parking spots for you.
You just need to put
And
a
they need
sign
to
down on
realize,
Tombstone
and I
Canyon with a
think this,
arrow on it that says parking Higgins Hill.
right, what I would like to somebody to remember to put on the next agenda is how we could discuss paid parking. So the church, they're going to do paid parking. Hit and miss, the Pages do paid parking. The city owns 2 lots down in Old Bisbee. A bus is occupying one of them, and I have been unable in the last year to get that bus moved. So I'm going to try to maybe make it a priority again this year. The city is losing revenue on parking all over the place.
Let's bring that up on member comments. If you want
Okay.
to continue that a little bit.
EV parking will be paid parking too, guaranteed.
That's right. It is, absolutely.
So, all right, any further comments, questions on item number 2? All right, hear none. Item number 3, state / federal grant opportunities for flooding, infrastructure, EVs, pedestrian, sidewalks, tourism, and ADA. Ben, why don't you, I mean, this is your item. You want to start this out?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, there was a lot of talk last year about the city getting, you know, a grant writer. And
Basically, it's a bunch of people who like to talk about things they have no control over.
yeah, Cynthia, your mic's hot.
Hold on.
The city of
Yeah, I can't.
There's good people on it, including myself.
Sorry.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
You hurt my feelings.
yeah, last year there was conversation about there being a city grant writer. A lot of the times the grant writing is left up to folks like Megan or Cynthia, whoever that make the time, but they're actually being a city staff that also does that, and that's kind of their full role. I'm just wondering if that actually happened, if there is like a city grant writer, or if that's on your shoulders or on the city manager's shoulders as another thing to have to do.
That is on, yeah, the shoulders of the city. We don't have one, a grant writer that was not put in the budget. I would say. We do have like a couple grant writers that work with the city and volunteer their time. One is Danielle Bouchevet, which many of you might know. She does some great work and help with us as well. And I think there's, I can't remember, I'm sorry. The other, I think Daniel, no. Can't remember the other lady's name. Do you know who she is? Okay. So definitely Daniel Bouchevet is one. So as far as that, yeah, we don't have a on-staff grant writer.
Yeah, I mean, I've working with writing letters of final request letters too. And a lot of the hardest part about it is actually finding the people who have the money, what there is of money available for. And I think, from Ben's viewpoint, I mean, from my viewpoint, it's more like a staff member that's like, or somebody that's actually looking out there to see what monies are available. Because there's lots of grants out there, but if you don't know they're out there, you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not like they just send letters out to everybody all over every place in the country. So that knowing who has what money and what it's for, and what criteria you have to meet, that's probably the biggest and hardest part of it. Just filling out the paperwork.
And I think with this administration starting right now, like literally this month, there's going to be a torrent of grant money out there for infrastructure, which is what this committee is. And I think that's going to be mostly federal. I don't know how much would come from the state. And I really think that stuff like flooding, some of those things that don't have like 1% tax paying for and stuff like this auxiliary things that are big items, water quality, those sorts of things, we should be, writing grants for. And I was
Here's
just,
some grants I know you guys could be writing. I'm not in your town. I talked to Ben about this the other day, and just to throw it out there, Mule Gulch, I do believe, has just been put on the impaired waters list. Once that got declared an impaired water by ADEQ, that opens it up for large amounts of grant funding. And it doesn't have to be from a city too. People who own private property that these damaged or impaired waters are on can also apply for these grants. And since somebody spent the time, energy, and money to figure out they have the problem, they're usually non-matching grants. They just give you the money. You agree to do whatever. But ADEQ is the people they have a list of people. And I had it somewhere. I don't know where it is now in my paperwork, but ADEQ has a list of granting agencies, and it's like 130 of them that specifically have monies available to do remediation work for impaired water streams. So, so there's a source of income for the city, and that would, like Mule Gulch, if you were going to do some E. coli remediation on the Mule Gulch Road, actually Brewery Gulch, excuse me, that's what I'm talking about. That could include some paving and stuff like that, because that would, because the idea is to slow and widen the pathway down, get the E. coli out of it and stuff. So there's a lot, and that's actually polluted with more than just E. coli. So there's some heavy metals in it. But yeah, that's knowing that, there's some money in there. Border Environmental Infrastructure Funds. You need to go on their website. They have funds available. We're close enough to the border that lots of things like water systems, and they deal with water systems improvements and things like that. There's funding out there for that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying. There needs to be somebody like more city related that knows where to, who's got these monies available. So
I think
the water guide is stuff and infrastructure stuff. And I know that a lot of money just got released for this type of infrastructure, especially close to the border, because it's an international issue.
Yeah, and I think one issue is, especially with the federal money, the federal grants, is you need to match it with non-federal, and that's the hardest part. Is Bisbee, the city of Bisbee doesn't have money. I mean, if you heard the auditor council meeting, we don't have money, but the state, maybe we can match with the state. Maybe we can match with a loan from NAD Bank or something like that, a zero interest loan, or over, the life of the project or something like that. And I think that's the part that is the hard part, is finding that match.
Well, here it is. Here's
or non-city entities.
What you do. See, everybody gets it. NAD Bank actually isn't a bank you borrow money from. NAD Bank is actually an escrow bank that holds funds. What you do is you put a funding letter into NAD Bank, and what NAD Bank then does and sees if your letter fits any of the criteria for any of the funding that they know is available. And they'll submit that for you. And if you have your own engineering already done and stuff, it works better. But that's kind of how they work. And then basically, if you get the grant funding through them, they normally pay for your engineering. They hold all the money and they pay all the contractors. So that keeps the cost down. And the federal government likes it. It's less likely to be corrupt and things like that. And actually, they're a dream to work with. I've been working with them for a couple of years. We might, like the Naco Sanitary District might receive a really large grant fund here to do some stuff down there on its property, including constructed wetlands and waterfowl wildlife areas. So hopefully that goes through. But yeah, you don't even fill out grant papers for them. You literally write a nicely worded letter saying you have a really, really, really good idea, some suggestions for where maybe to get the money from. And if they think you have a really good idea, they will pick up the ball and run with it for you. So they now think wonderful community. You can get into communications directly with the managers and stuff.
Dan, who wrote that letter for them?
Me and my friend Charlie. And because we were private citizens doing it, NAD Bank had to sponsor us because we don't have the funds.
Both of you are talking.
It's actually funded. We're being sponsored by the project managers of NAD Bank.
Okay,
Well, project ideas,
Okay.
which are too numerous to go into right now, but it's in one of our grant funds would be $18.3 million if we land that project, if they say, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. That's gonna be a big project down here, but it's under wraps right now because it's still up in the air. We'll know more in the end of February when they have the IBWC NADBank meeting will be in February.
So Stephen, do you think that that could be an option for city staff that's overburdened to actually, okay, we've got this problem with flooding in this creek and in this creek. Hey, let's write to NADBank and with this issue and Biden's doling out all this money, or we've got this bike lane that needs funding, so something like that. Can the city write to NADBank with this issue? We've got matching funding, and then they'll take it from there. Stephen, do you think that could be?
Well, I know, well, if you wanted to, well, we've been the last couple of years, if you want to look, if you really followed what's been going on in Nogales over the last 3 years, they basically started with getting $20 million 2.5 years ago, and now they have the whole $120 million. Part of that was through NADBank, because NADBank will actually go out and help you seek other funding. So if they say like, there's $8 million available this year in BEIF funds, but if they say, hey, let's go ahead with this $18.3 million project because they like it so much, they will go out and like apply for matching funding and from other places for you. And Freeport Natural Land and all of those types of individuals, the Walton Foundation, no matter what you might think of, have hundreds of millions of dollars laying on the table for projects just like this. So, or any of those things, city, if you can like, usually NADBank deals with an IBWCO border issues. So you got to, when you write them a funding letter or a request for funding, you've really got to say, we've got all of like floods. We've got all these floods and then they're carrying all this polluted water, and this polluted water is ending up down here. It has a likelihood of getting in and contaminating the drinking water, blah, 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 blah. The more of that kind of stuff, the more you can show it's a great, it's good for the city. It's good for the environment. It's good for the local economy. If it has cross-boundary issues to whereas it helps somebody on the other side of the border too, that even puts you higher up on the list. There's certain criteria. We just happened to write this letter. We didn't even think it was a funding letter. And then a year and a half later, we got a call from an engineer going, do you guys still want to do this? So.
That's awesome. It sounds like a really good resource, and I can promise you, Matt, and I'll look into that too.
If I had more time, I might be able to look in some stuff for the city of Bisbee, but I'm the chairman of the board of the Naco Sanitary District. So that's like taking all my time. I still have time to do this though. So, you know.
If you come across something or whatnot, you could always email us any kind of info. We'll be happy to get that.
Yeah. I'll work with because I think we've got to work because there is going to be an issue, and I got to talk to Matt after the meeting about something else real quick, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Logan had an update too.
Yeah, for anybody that joined late, I'm Logan, new operations manager, took his job.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Both of you guys are probably talking.
We just received a letter from one of the senators, Arizona, to Steve, and it was a list of the different federal grants that are going to be available. And Daniel Bouchivet that Matt mentioned earlier is already actively looking at all of that stuff. And
okay, you already got the list then. That's the list I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've already started. We got the list. I'm going to be looking over that between that and it's budget time too. So trying to do the budget and everything. I'll be going over that in the next month.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find that list. I know people get a list sent to me from the Department of Environmental Quality. They've got a list of people that it's specific for water quality issues, but there's a gamut of people that have water, if it's like flooding or whatever, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you have a big, about 130 people that actually have grant monies available for projects like this, which can be used for like matching funds too. Like if you're already getting $1 million, we'll throw in a couple $100,000 kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Even right now we are we're in the middle of doing a grant with Arizona Water to redo the fire suppression system in Old Bisbee. We're also in the middle of, we're just starting with doing a grant between us, Daniel Bouchivet, and our WLB engineering group to do the Old Bisbee sewer lateral changes. So we are in the middle of some infrastructure grants also, so.
Yeah, and there's a pipe dream of mine and it just gotta come down. Greenbush Draw just got named in impaired water, so that means Bisbee's eventually gonna have to stop putting effluent in it, but no big deal. I am working with the plan and I gotta get with the water company because they're part of it. We've already kind of got a temporary okay from Joe Lewis. And there's the one guy there, but we're thinking that because we're kind of getting grant monies, if we can get the easement for Greenbush Draw, because it directly connects to Naco Sanitary District's property. And because of the type of entity we are, we could probably, what we're trying to do is trying to then work to get a grant to do something in Greenbush Draw to do an E. coli remediation type of thing, because it is completely polluted with E. coli and stormwater, like terribly bad. And then do things like create a pathways and a walkway and then go down there. And if they're doing constructed wetlands and waterfowl waterway, sanitary district, then we've got this whole, and that helps you guys out because you're gonna probably, if it's in impaired water, you're not gonna be able to put effluent in it. That's the whole reason you had to move Mule Gulch.
Yeah, well, we are, and
The
this
water.
is kind of getting off subject also.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sorry.
kind of getting off subject also, but we are going to be doing A+ water here pretty soon. So that should be, anyways, anything else with item number 3? I know it kind of got off on a tangent a little bit. Anything else that someone wants to discuss with item number 3? Okay, here none. No, item number 4, we kind of pretty much already went over with the old business update on HERF and 1% sales tax compared to previous years. Anybody want to go over that?
No, move on.
Okay,
Yeah, move
sounds
on.
good. Anybody else? Okay. Item 5, budget for this coming year. We're in the middle of it. Still too early to really say much about it. I'm just starting on the budget. So I don't have a whole lot to say with that. I do know, like I said previously, we have next March, we have voting on the 1% streets and infrastructure coming up. And we'll see where that takes us. And anybody have a
The
comment?
city itself has a proposal on the table to just, okay.
Was
To
that?
just continue it
There is,
or put it on the ballot to be voted on. I mean,
yes, it's gonna be possibly a little bit different. They are looking at doing a little bit more than 1%, but splitting it with PSPR, which is Public Safety Retirement System. So we won't be, even with that, we won't be getting a full 1% if that's what they end up doing and taking to the ballot.
yeah, just somebody who's done this before, I'd separate those two issues and make them two separate ballot choices. Just make it 0.75% each.
They're talking about it.
Yeah, because if you tie them together, people will feel one way about one thing and another way about another, and that can cause issues at the ballot box. Separating those two would probably, I'm pretty sure most of the people would want to continue with, oh my goodness, we're doing so great with the roads. You are. People see that in the public. So.
Okay. Anything else on number 5 so we can get through? Okay.
Yeah, so just thinking about your time here, Matthew, you've been here for quite a while, and every couple of years we do a big project, right? We pave Tombstone Canyon, we pave Arizona Street, we pave whatever, right? Generally speaking, that takes out about $400,000 or $300,000 out of the budget, right? How does that, in your opinion, when you do that, how does that impact your operations as opposed to just not having those big projects? Like, does city staff, your guys, work on other things that are not capital intensive, or?
Yeah, no, we when stuff like that happens, we have big projects going on, like in Tombstone Canyon. Yeah, we still have the regular maintenance of the whole department. Like, just like we did before we even had the 1% sales tax. We have our, everything that department does, which is sidewalks, signs, potholes. That department is also part of the building maintenance program as well. So yeah, it's not like we're just that department sitting around either. Yeah, that's definitely, whether it's fixing stairs or whatever, you know. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, I just, if these big projects come about either by necessity or by suggestion, and every other year, usually before an election, right? There's a big paving project or a big capital project, right? So, and there's not one right on the table right now, or if there is one, what is it? Is it
Building.
the only one that comes up in my mind is the bikeway, but maybe there's something else, and how do we plan for that?
Yeah. Right now, we don't have anything major of a project. One thing that is on our radar, but we're looking at what the best route on doing it is Naco Highway. That needs some attention. I have talked with K&G about different ways of extending the life of it a little bit more further for us. But other than that, I don't have anything. The Bisbee Bikeway is not a project of the city or from the streets and infrastructure side of it, I should say. So that one is not a project that we are in the middle or part of, except for what we're starting with them. So, but yeah, other than that, there is no major, just what we've been, the streets that we had shown that need to still be done. We want to try and plow through that, try and get that done. We do have some retaining walls that are going to be coming up.
Yeah.
We have Tempe, which is starting next week, Tempe Avenue, starting next week. It's going to take a month roughly to do. We have Opera Drive, the wall right above the parking area right on Opera. And we have Clausen, which is right at the intersection of Clausen and Shear. Those are 3 walls that are going to be going up possibly in the next fiscal year. Well, Tempe will be this fiscal year, but possibly the other 2 will probably be in the next fiscal year.
Currently in design right now.
Yes. Cynthia, you had said something earlier. I didn't want to leave you out.
Sorry, I was just interjecting when Ben was asking what's going on. It's like, the building of City Hall.
Yes.
It's infrastructure, it's City Hall,
Yes.
But that's not her funds,
No,
or the 1%.
about her funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else on item number 5? Okay, moving on to item 6, pending equipment purchases. The only thing that I can think of, last year we purchased the boot truck, the fog mat that lays down our fog seal. This next fiscal year, I am looking and putting in the budget for a new street sweeper. We do need to start thinking about maintenance of the streets more. We don't want to end up where we were before we started this. We have to maintain, and having a street sweeper that can actually work good, huh, Cynthia?
Yeah.
Is imperative with that as well.
And so that's about getting gravel off the asphalt because the gravel grinds away the asphalt, right? When cars
Yeah,
drive.
gravel, yeah, debris, yeah, leaves. It helps the road. It also helps the cleanliness of it as well.
Matt, I have a question.
Yes,
Once
ma'am.
you get that street sweeper, could you put into the order signage? And the signage would say, well, for example, 4-hour parking, don't park on Tuesdays from this hour to that hour. In other words, Bisbee's back to when we were talking about parking before. Bisbee's biggest problems, it has no signs. It doesn't maintain its streets. It doesn't maintain its parking as a city. You know, it's kind of just doesn't have a plan. And the plan's really not very hard. It's just, we're gonna sweep these streets on these days at these hours. So you can't park here. Any other time, guess what? You can park here, but not for 24 hours, like for 40 hours, like the signs currently say. More like the further you are from the center of town, the longer you can park. If you're right down in the Gulch and you're right down on Main Street, well, you know what? Good. You got 2 hours to park here. Otherwise, move on, find a further away parking spot. If we would just do that, we would solve most of the problems that most of the people have, because we create our own problems by just letting people, whoever they might be, people who live here, but mostly probably people who don't live here, but maybe mostly people who do live here. But the point is, you know, if you've got 5 cars, you can't park them all in the Gulch because there's only room for one of them in front of your house, or whatever the case might be. And a little bit of signage for the central, most trafficked area, including cleaning them, put that together. If you get the street sweeper, make that the goal for the signage. That's the one thing I would highly
All
recommend.
right,
Organized plan.
we're getting it written down.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's what I'm putting in on this budget, is a new street sweeper. I have some pricing on a couple different ones. So that is, I can give you a ballpark. So it's between, it's around 250, 260, 260,000.
Holy crap, what's wrong with the one we have now?
It doesn't work.
Is it hydraulics? Is it, I mean, it seems like the trash trucks, everything.
It's everything that I'll tell you, because I mean, I was in the streets department for many years. From day one of myself and Raul, even, which is my lead for streets, have started, it has not worked that great. We spent a lot of money getting it fixed, sending it to the company to get fixed. And it was a waste of money. It stopped working again. We've put money into it, and it's been a pit. It's very old, and it is time for a new one. Because we haven't been able to hardly sweep our streets like we should. We should be on a maintenance program for our street sweeping, and that's something we haven't been able to do since I've started over 11 years ago.
Yeah, back to what I was saying. Not only you've had a street sweeper, but it doesn't, it drops more. All it did was move the debris from one spot to the other. I mean, I literally would always ask Raul and Matt this year, don't run the sweeper, because it always drops the stuff right where the people need to not be tripped. I mean, it's like, do it by hand or don't do it at all. I'll have my people sweep. I mean, the sweeper has been a joke for, I don't know, at least 10 years that I know of.
Yeah. So it's the, like you said, it's a hydraulics, it's a vacuum, the whole thing is a bad system. Well, it's not, it didn't used to be a bad system, but it is.
Used to be until we got a new one.
What's that, Steve?
It's kind of like the snorkel truck was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that big snorkel truck. Yeah, that's until you could, yeah, the old one was kind of falling apart and no way to get it fixed. That's why you guys got that new one. I know your street
Exactly.
sweeper. Follow the street sweeper. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So, all right. Any questions on this?
No.
All right, moving on to item 7, Tempe paving / retaining wall status. Kind of touched on it. So I'll start with the retaining wall. Like I said, it's starting. They pushed it back a couple days. They're starting on the 3rd of next week. and they're looking to be done the 3rd of March. So that's 112 feet of retaining wall on Tempe Avenue. And that, from my standpoint, I feel like, my point of view, we got a really good deal, 62,500 for 112 feet. I think it's good. And on a kind of an emergency call too. So I believe it came at a good time too, because now we're gonna pave and it'll be done and we'll be good. After
Matt, who's doing the wall work?
it is, yeah, accelerated construction and excavating. They're out of Benson.
Okay.
They worked with Arizona Water and Frank Cabello doing their water line. And they're also going to be getting contractor to do the paving, which we're paying for everything but the trench that Arizona Water had done as far as the paving. That'll be done as soon as the wall is complete and Arizona Water have approval by ADAQ to finish doing their installment of the water lines or connections, sorry, to the residents. And then at that point, if the weather's good, then we'll pave.
We just got that too, Matthew.
Oh, awesome.
ADQ just issued that to us, so we'll be scheduling that and get that done.
Oh,
New
that's
hydrants, new mains, and new paving, new retaining wall. Man,
Good
living like
timing.
that cat's up there. Be nice.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Long
good.
overdue.
Yeah, we were trying to get this done sooner than later, so we didn't, so those people up there didn't have a dirt road for monsoon season or anything. So
Right.
yeah, that's good to hear. Any questions on the Tempe paving or retaining wall status? I think that, I mean, as we don't want a wall to fall, but it came at a good time. Anybody else? Okay. Any member comments? Anybody want to have say a comment that any future talking agendas?
Yeah, just mine regarding the parking lots that the city owns that they need to reclaim from citizens usurping them.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know if this would so much be an agenda item, but Megan did make a story. Maybe somebody could go in and try and find out who she needs to talk to in the city or whatever. For as far as the funding and granting things, she had some questions. So,
Yeah, and she has talked to the city manager. She's spoken with the city manager, and right now we have projects that have been started 3 to 5 years ago that are just getting to the point of starting. So a lot of the funding is going to be another couple of years before we can put funding to any of that, is what I've been told.
Yeah, and I would say with the matching grants, if there are projects like the Bisbee Bikeways project that need non-federal matching grants, maybe it's not the city that matches, maybe the city helps get funding from ADOT, from the state, or from Freeport or somebody like that. But I think as much as the city can help, at least help coordinate, would be greatly appreciated, because that project, for example, has been moving along for 3 years, and it might not, that opportunity might not happen again, right? So
Yeah.
if the city, and especially if the city doesn't have to spend money on it and it becomes an ADA issue with ADOT, and ADOT funds does a 20% match, and federal does 80%, and Bisbee just helps coordinate. I mean, that would be awesome too, right? And it helps Bisbee residents not get run over. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is in line for us to do some in-kind work and not funds at this time. Any other member comments? So we can go through and, okay. Staff comments. I don't really have any. Hopefully, as we get going, we'll be able to, make sure we have better data is my goal. Want to make sure some of this I'm just getting into and finding out new stuff that was going on that I didn't know before. So, but yeah, do you have any?
Just obviously first meeting I've sat in, heard a lot of, it's reactive, and that's what Matt and I have talked about since I've been in this job too, is he wants to get everything to a proactive where we're doing the maintenance and we're taking care of things ahead of time beforehand. So we're both doing a lot of research when we have time, even at home and stuff, to look for different ways that we can make things run a lot smoother and get us to the point where we're not just trying to, plug our finger in the hole.
Yeah.
Right on.
All righty. Next meeting schedule, it says on there March 24th. That is what this one was supposed to be, I guess. But the next one is actually May 26th. Is what is scheduled at this point. All right.
All right, thanks.
Have anybody called for adjournment?
I move that we adjourn.
I second it.
All right, move to adjourn, second. All in
Now that
favor?
we're adjourned, Megan needs any business operators to help write her some website letter thing for her grant. So just a reminder,
Okay.
because that's not, meeting's over. So.
Yes, you're good.
Yeah, no, I got one question for Matt. And this is actually, this is not a meeting related. This is NSD related.
One second, if all of you are good to go, you're good to go. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right,
Matt.
good night.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
What's up, Steven?
It's just about scheduling you guys to come down there with your snorkel truck again. I know I used to just work with Jesus with that, but we have an IPA with you guys to use it once in a while. I know you're busy. It's not an emergency, but we're getting a new inflow meter and everything installed. And they did it once earlier this year. That inflow line from where it goes, from where it comes in to just that first, they know which one it is, to the first pond. It's like a 300-foot section. They just run their line through it and blow it out. It's just got some sediment in the bottom of it I want to get rid of.
Who'd be a good contact?
Me.
Okay, what's your number?
520
Yeah.
255 6368. Yeah, I'm
556.
chairman of the board of NSD, so.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll see when we can schedule it. Right now, we're in a big project up on
Oh, yeah, I
Maxfield.
It's
So
not an emergency, so it's just something it's just a maintenance related thing like we've been talking about. I just want to get it done. Because I'm getting an all new inflow meter, we're just like you guys, we're showing that $20,000 putting in a new meter because the old one broke and it's obsolete.
yeah. When is a time that's too long? Just so I know what's too long to wait.
Oh, just over the next couple of months, it'd be fine. I mean, it's
Okay.
not like I said, not a pressing thing. I just want to flush before it starts raining really hard again, basically.
Okay, yeah, I'll
All
try. I think we can get there between this next month, February and March.
Okay, that'd be fine. Yeah, just give me a call because I'm retired, so I can just show up and unlock the gates for you, and we'll be down
Sounds
there.
good.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thanks, Stephen. You have a great night.
Nice meeting
You
you,
too.
Steve.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.